Welcome back to the Michonne's Kitchen. This time, instead of cooking like dinner, we are going to be baking. Celise had a little craving for some homemade cookies, and I love to bake, so I just grabbed whatever we had, and we're gonna make oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. What I like to do if I don't know like a recipe, I go on Pinterest, and then I kind of tweak the recipe to how I would like it.
I usually just watch. I don't bake, I cook.
But she's gonna be my helper today. So I already have all of the ingredients pulled out and measured. What I like to do first is I'll get all my dry ingredients and mix those together, and then I'll get all my wet or ingredients and mix them together. So I'll go ahead and start doing that now.
And then we have the oven set to 350.
Yes, preheat the oven before. Also, on a cold day, if the house is cold like it was today, a good little warming trick. After you're done baking, just leave the oven open. It'll actually warm up your house a little bit more too. So here we have 1.5 cups of oatmeal. I just got the instant quick oats. You can do Quaker oats, you know, an off-brand, whatever you have. This is just what we had in the pantry. And then in here I have a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. And then I have it called for 1 cup of flour. And then a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. I'm gonna use that one for the egg. So what I'll do is I'll just whisk all this together, that way it's already mixed. The only things I don't have measured out, because I like to use them to my preference and my liking, are the
vanilla extract and the ground cinnamon.
I like a little extra, so I don't ever go by the recipe. Here, what I'll do is I'll actually put the brown sugar in there. It mixes a lot more better with the wet stuff. So, okay, so that was a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, and then a 1/2 cup of softened butter. The recipe did call for a stick of butter and no salt added. However, I just had country crock in the fridge, so that's what I used. I put it in the microwave for 10 seconds, pull it out, mix it, put it in for another 10, and then that'll be good. And then it called for 1 large egg. Also, another thing when I bake, I usually like to substitute things to make it a lot more healthier. So usually I wouldn't even use flour at all. I would actually grind up the oats in the food processor and use bananas instead of eggs. It's a lot more healthier for you. So, but like I said, this is what we had, so I'm using it. So with the country time butter, it'll leave it a little clumpy, but don't worry, once you mix it into the dry, that'll go away. So, alright. Okay, now in the wet, I will go ahead and put, if you did want to measure it out, it does call for 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract. However, like I said, I like vanilla, so I just kind of go off of my smell. And Celise asked to make it sweeter this time too. She likes them a little more sweet, which is odd.
Because I don't like sweet. Yeah, good? I don't know, sure. You're the favorite. I just eat it. I know.
Oh, also, the recipe on Pinterest, I did see that it called for parchment paper. I like parchment paper. Gives you so you don't get too stuck to the pan. And then also, if I don't have parchment paper, I'll use foil. If you use foil though, you have to watch the temperature. Sometimes it could cook the bottom of the cookie a lot faster and you'll end up with burnt cookies. So if you have parchment paper, use it. Glass Tupperware Pyrexes are really good. You don't even need the parchment paper, just a little bit of oil on there and they'll cook really nice. However, I don't want to clean up that much again, so I went ahead and just lined it with the parchment paper. Here you go. Oh, of course, have to have a wine while we cook here in the kitchen. The Mashomi's kitchen.
The Mashomi kitchen! Yeah!
Always drink responsibly.
Yes. Don't end up with burnt food. All right. Okay. So in the dry stuff, now I got the vanilla. And then as like a clean practice, what I'll do is I'll grab all the ingredients out for whatever the recipe calls for. Grab it out and then I'll add it by the list that it goes and just put everything away. That way you don't get confused, or if you didn't remember if you measured the flour out or put in the cinnamon or whatever. So
just pre-mix your ingredients.
yes.
And be organized and put it away after.
Again, like I said, I don't measure. So with the cinnamon, it did call for a, give me 1 second, let me see. It called for a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Like I said, I like the cinnamon taste in there. Cinnamon and vanilla, you can't go wrong with putting in more. So, perfect. All right, now that that's all done, what I'll have Celeste do is I'll have her whisk and then I'll pour in the wet, so that way we can get a good, nice consistency. Now, sometimes for recipes, we are in New Mexico, so we are higher elevation. Sometimes it'll call to tweak the recipe a little bit, just depending on where you live. So always just check if there is any stipulations to higher elevation.
Look at me, I'm baking!
You're a great helper. What would I do without you? Okay.
How do I get it out of this?
Huh?
I got it.
Got it? Okay. That's why I have both of those tools. Sorry about that. All right, let's see. Wanna lick the whisk? Yummy. That's our daughter's favorite part. I think that's the only reason she likes to bake with me, is because I let her lick the utensils after. All right, so this is actually really good. This is the consistency you want, real sticky with the oatmeal. Perfect. And now for the last ingredient, before we go ahead and put them in on the baking sheets, it calls for a 1 cup of chocolate chips. We don't use regular chocolate chips. We like to use Ghirardelli. It's a dark chocolate brand. It's a 60% cocoa, or cacao, sorry, and dark chocolate. So it's really good for you too. So go ahead and just mix all that in. Plus it's Ghirardelli chocolate. You can't go wrong with Ghirardelli. Then once you have the chocolate chips, chocolate chips mixed in there real good and evenly, I'll have Celeste get me a spoon, kind of a larger tablespoon. Yeah. Perfect. Do you want to go ahead and measure them out? Oh, you're gonna help me. All right. Want that?
No.
Okay.
Thanks, though.
Did you try it? Was it sweet enough?
I think so.
Try it a little bit.
Perfect, yeah.
Perfect? Okay. Alright. So, good measurement would be about the whole spoon. The one that Celise got is pretty large. So what I like to do is just right along the... This might be a little too sticky, actually.
We'll see. We'll put in the batch and see how it goes. Or should I ask Sorry. What do you think? What do we do next?
No, instead of flour, to kind of make it a little less sticky, because sometimes it won't cook all the way through, do you want to go ahead and get me the oats? I don't like to put too much flour, so if I could dry it up a little bit, I'll add a little bit more of the oats. And as I said, we don't really measure. Kind of just
Eyeball it.
eyeball it. Sometimes when they're too sticky or they're too wet, they'll kind of flatten out and you'll have like this paper thin cookie. And I don't know about you, but I like them thick and warm and chewy, so. See, that's a lot better. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
Now? Okay. So this is more what we're looking for. Alright, now that's all mixed in there good. Okay, now as I was saying, this is a little bit of a larger spoon. So you'll form the cookie either the whole thing or, you know, just about the whole thing on the larger spoon. Oops. And then what you'll do is you'll place it on the parchment paper. This is a little bit smaller, so what I'll probably do is 2 in a row and about 3 or 4 rows, depending on how big it is. And then you can kind of tell, you know, the size of the cookie, because if you're a baker, you know, they're going to expand a little bit, so don't go too big. Unless you're trying to make like a cookie pie or cookie pizza or something, then go for it. But
Like this?
a little bit, perfect. So then we'll go right here. And about 1.5 to 2 inches apart. And the recipe said that it would make about 24 cookies.
Don't let it happen again.
Make sure everything stays on there. You don't have to run with chip. Alright. So then we'll place this one over here. You want to make sure if you do 2 different sheets that you put them in at the same time. That way you don't have 2 sets of timers going at once. Like I said before, these baking sheets are a little bit tinier, so I'm only going to be able to do 12 cookies at a time on both sheets. Alrighty, perfect. So Celise preheated the oven to 350, and then it says 12 minutes in the oven of cook time. So we're gonna go ahead and throw these bad boys in the oven, and while we play the waiting game, you will play the watching game. See you in a little bit. And we're back, so it's been about 12 minutes. The cookies smell amazing and they look amazing. Let me pull them out here and I'll show you what they look like. They look perfect. So you want just a little bit of brown there. on the cookie. Make sure that it's not too moist. Make sure it's cooked all the way through. So what we'll do is we'll give it about a minute, and then I have a cooling rack. Celise and Irie actually bought it for me about 2 Christmases ago. Yeah. So this is what a cooling rack looks like. However, if you don't have a cooling rack, what I used to do is I would just lay out a bunch of wax paper and throw it on there. It does the same thing. So, well, whatever you have in your kitchen. So
do we put these on there?
yeah, we gotta let them cool for a minute though.
A whole minute?
Yes, a whole minute. This is why she doesn't bake.
Yeah, I'm gonna count down right there.
Oh my goodness. And usually we would be done by now, but as I said, these are smaller, so we're gonna have to do this one more time. So we're gonna have to repeat. Alright. We can use the same parchment paper.
We can? Oh.
We'll show them a little trick. So, probably hasn't been a minute, but they're ready. So you'll know, like, if you pull them out and they start sticking to the paper, give them a little bit more time. And they came out just beautifully. Look at that. So, Celise was about to pull out some more parchment paper. What I do is I will just simply flip it over. And you can reuse it. Just in case that was like the last of our parchment paper. It wasn't, but still, never know when you're gonna need it, especially with Thanksgiving coming up. So, we're gonna go ahead and repeat the process. Yay! And that's baking with them. In the kitchen again. Hope to see you guys again soon. Hope you guys give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and hit that subscription button. Hit the little bell. We'll see you next time.
Comment. Let us know what you want to see us cook. She bakes. I watch when she bakes. But we both cook together.
Bye.